The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we are the ones who do encourage you to like and share them on social media and with all of your friends and neighbors, because it's about what's happening on the Treasure Coast, around here anyway. It's the Sue Ellen Sanders Show with Sue Ellen Sanders.
Welcome to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show, and we're really thrilled to have you here because we're rounding about the end of the year, but the show that we're going to be doing today will be something that you might want to listen to again another time during the year, like, maybe when I'm on vacation or something and we're using a best of Sue Ellen Sanders Show. Because my show today is with the president of Impact 100 of St. Lucie, and we've had Impact on our show before, back when Deb was president, but now Janet Mafucci is the president, and we'll be talking about the organization Impact 100 and the good that it does in the community, and then we'll also be talking to Courtney Ninetemp, and she is the development officer for Tykes and Teens. And the reason that she's joining us is because, as a past recipient of the Impact 100 funds, she's going to talk about what it meant to her organization, and maybe you could do a little bit of walking us through what it takes to apply, because some of the people who are listening here might be interested in applying for the grant. Some of the people listening may also be interested in being part of Impact 100. We'll cover it all in this show. So let's start out by talking to Janet about Impact 100. What's your elevator speech on Impact 100, Janet? If you ran into somebody and they said, Impact 100, St. Lucie, what is that? What would you say?
I would say it's a group of women who want to do what they can to improve the lives of St. Lucie County residents who maybe are not as fortunate as they.
And they do that by making an impact with at least 100 women, and that's where the Impact 100 comes from. Now, Impact 100 St. Lucie is not the first Impact 100 group.
No, not by a long shot.
So let's talk a little bit about the history of Impact 100, because the original Impact group was also formed by a group of women, and originally it was that they sought to have 100 women who each gave a certain amount, $1,100, so it was $1,000, and for the 100 women that came to $100,000, and that made such an impact in their community, and it became so successful that there are many impact groups who actually have way more than 100 women participating, so they're raising more than $100,000. Let's talk about how it's working in St. Lucie.
Well, I just wanted to say first, the Impact 100 model started 20 years ago in Cincinnati, Ohio, with its first group. It's now an international organization. There are over 50 Impact 100 chapters in different counties in the United States. There's one in London, there's one in New Zealand, and there are, I believe, 8 in Australia. So this has become an international movement. They're similar to giving circles, and we started here in 2018. There were 6 very forward-thinking philanthropic women who just got together and decided they wanted to try and start this in St. Lucie County for the benefit of the St. Lucie County residents. It took a lot to start that first year to get up to 100 members. They worked very hard. They had socials. They went to different women's groups meetings. They tried to raise sponsorships from different corporations. And it took the entire year to get up to 100 and actually I think the final number that year was 121 members.
That's what I was thinking, about 120. And so not only were they able to give that $100,000 that first year, but they also gave the second place and third place a lump sum of money too. So there
Exactly.
were 3 organizations that benefited.
Exactly. That first year, our 3 finalists were Tykes and Teens, the Inner Truth Project, and In the Image of Christ, which had partnered with Martin Health, I believe it was. And Tykes and Teens was the winner of the $100,000 grant. They're a very well-known and very strong mental health counseling organization for teens and children, but they had no presence in St. Lucie County, and we really needed them in St. Lucie County. I know from my experience as a guardian at Lytton in the court system how much those mental health services were needed by our children and our teens. They won, and the other $21,000 was divided between Image of Christ and Inner Truth Project.
And I'm thrilled to have you on, because it's like I can speak from many different levels. I can speak as an organization who applied for one of the grants, because we applied when I was with the Early Learning Coalition of St. Lucie County that first year. We applied and we were a semifinalist. And we had to think of a creative project and then present it and put together a budget. And it was very different than applying for a typical grant. So I'm going to give Courtney an opportunity now to talk a little bit about this, because at the ELC, when I was doing the development, a lot of the grants were basically paperwork that you had to fill out, like the United Way grant, the Children's Services grant. It wasn't a whole lot of creative ideas, as more it was showing who the money was helping and what the positive outcomes were coming from it. So it was gathering a lot of numbers and facts and figures. But the thing that was fascinating about the Impact 100 grant is you were able, as a matter of fact, encouraged to be very creative and outside the box thinking with it.
It really gave us the opportunity to think what makes the most impact for St. Lucie County residents. We have a lot of programs in Martin County, as Janet said, that we wanted to bring here, but which one was going to make the biggest impact? I keep using that word because it was so appropriately named. And it became very obvious to us very quickly that an outpatient office needed to come up into the county, because that's where we're based out of in Palm City, is our outpatient office. So in order to grow and expand our services in St. Lucie, that foundation of that office was exactly what we needed. So the creativity came in, where do we go? And what size space would we need? And is $100,000 going to do it? And absolutely did. And in the 2.5 years that office has been open now, we've served well over what we anticipated serving. We said in our grant we'd be able to serve about 100 people the first year, or 100 kiddos. And we're currently, I had somebody check this morning, we're currently serving, just this year alone, 84, I believe. So a total 250 or so kiddos have been served just out of that office. Plus we expanded our other services because we had that central location here.
Location to
yes.
have because once you had the physical location, you could take some of the services that you were already doing and just have the person that was supplying those services travel up to St. Lucie
exactly.
like one day a week. Or,
yes.
Yeah. One of the best things about Tykes and Teens, and they're coming up with this idea, is they were already serving the children of St. Lucie County, but the St. Lucie County kids and families had to travel down to Martin to get the services. So you didn't have to be creative imagining who was going to use your services.
Exactly.
You already knew.
Yes, you're exactly right. we knew that the kids were here. We just needed to be closer to them. Eliminating a transportation barrier is something that we believe very strongly in. We see it in Martin County with being in each of the schools, and the fact that they were willing to travel, the families were willing to travel to the Palm City Hobe Sound office, made it very evident that if we came here, the kiddos would come to us. We wouldn't need to find them. They knew we existed.
Yeah, they would. And it's the other thing that you had to show when you applied for the grant was that you weren't going to take, first of all, you had to use, and this was really a cool thing too, you had to use the whole $100,000.
Yes.
You couldn't say, okay, we're going to use some of it here, some of it there, and then maybe 10 years from now we'll use the rest of it. No, you had to show where you were going to use it all.
In that 1 year.
Yeah, in that 1 year. But at the same time, if I remember correctly, Janet, correct me if I'm wrong, you had to demonstrate the ability for your program to survive beyond that first year.
Exactly. We looked at self-sustaining as well as transformational as well as new programs. We did encourage, as you said, Sue Ellen, we did encourage people to think outside the box, but we also encouraged people, like as Tykes and Teens did, to expand their existing program and just bring it into St. Lucie County where it was needed. But they also had to show that they could sustain that program past the 1 year of our grant.
Because a lot of times you might come up with a great idea and not really think beyond that first inception, launching the great idea of being able to sustain it for a long period of time, whatever it takes to sustain it. You have to have that ability to do that, and Tykes and Teens had already proven that they'd done that.
Yes, and I think that's something really special about the application and full grant experience with Impact 100 was that encouragement to look at longevity and what happens afterwards and how do you prove what happens afterwards. Not all grant processes have you think about that. And if you're we weren't a new organization at the time, but if you are and you're applying for another grant that doesn't encourage you to look at that and the grantors are not looking at that themselves, then you could be funding a program that's going to run into the ground right afterwards because they haven't looked at their long-term funding. So I think that's really special about Impact 100 and definitely we had to think about it and what other funding sources would come through, and people like Children's Services Council of St. Lucie and United Way of St. Lucie jumped in at the opportunity to fund us once Impact gave us the opportunity to be here.
So Impact gave you your launch.
Yes.
And then United Way and Children's Services Council made sure you stayed afloat.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that's really nice about our area is the fact that we have Impact 100 organizations in our neighboring counties.
Yes, there's one in Martin and there's one in Indian River.
And both of those, you were able to kind of as a group, as Impact 100 started 3 years ago and grew, you had something to model yourselves after.
Exactly, and those groups are still helping us whenever we need advice on something. We needed some advice this year because, and we can get into this a little later, but because of COVID and some financial constraints, we lost a lot of our members this year. They just couldn't afford to join. And so we turned specifically to Martin, but also to Indian River at one point, to get some ideas from them about how to attract new members.
So let's get back to talking about Impact 100 to begin with, because take us through a calendar year. You spent part of the year recruiting new members to Impact 100, and those are ladies in the community who are each contributing, and it comes to $1,100 because $100 of it goes toward administrative costs. and you're looking to have at least 100. That first year you had 121, and then after your period of time recruiting, then you have the grant period where you send out information about the grants before you even know exactly how much money you're going to have to spend.
Well, we changed that a little bit
Oh,
this year
did you?
because
Okay.
when I became president, I really wanted to know how much money we were going to have to spend before we put out application
I like
requests.
to know before I go into the grocery store how much money I have.
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So we ended our drive in July, the end of July, and we sent out the applications in August.
Okay.
The first year we did our grant award in April, and I think a lot of the Impact 100 chapters do it in the spring. But we just needed more time to try and build our membership. And so we opted to wait until the fall. And we are keeping it at that because Elizabeth Barbella, who's the president of the Community Foundation, which is our fiscal agent, has said that a number of the nonprofits said they really kind of liked having this grant opportunity in the fall because the fall and winter were kind of dead areas in terms of getting money. So we are keeping it in the fall for next year. We had our award celebration October 30th, and that was also kind of, I guess you would call it, our kickoff for 2022. So we have started asking members to rejoin, and we are going through June 30th of 2022 to get up to 100 members, hopefully. And our grant award will again be in the fall.
So tell me about the timeline for applying for the grant.
Well, we actually changed this from the first year. In the first year, we would have a meeting of the nonprofits and anyone who was interested in applying for the grant, but they had to submit what we called letters of intent, which were shorter applications, if you will.
Right.
And then we had a grant review committee of about 15 or 16 women, and we met several times, and we first went over the letters of intent on our own, and then we came together to discuss them and decide which nonprofits we were going to ask to file an application.
To move forward. With to the full application.
Right. So then we had those applications submitted. We again individually reviewed them and then came together as a group and honed them down into, I will say, 9 semifinalists the first year. However, 3 of them were very, very close in what they wanted to do. So we asked the 3 of them to join together for one application, and they did.
And what a marvelous idea that was. Talk about thinking outside the box. Rather than picking one of the 3 to move forward, to say, here, these other 2 are working on the same type of idea. Why don't you work together cohesively?
Right.
So that was a great idea.
So we had 7 semifinalists, and then we narrowed them down to the 3 finalists. We had our award celebration, and at the celebration, the way we go from semifinalists to finalists is the first year at least, we had site visits, and the grant review committee members went on site visits to all of the semifinalists. And they gave us presentations. Some places we had tours of what they were, where they were and what they were doing. We met some of their clients, and then that's when we came back and narrowed it down to the 3 finalists. This year, because of COVID, we kind of changed that a little bit, and rather than have site visits, we asked the semifinalists to submit a video, and that's what we used to judge which ones should become our finalists, rather for this year. Next year, although the videos were all very, very good, but next year we had a post-award meeting of the grant review committee, and the majority of the women said they want to go back to site visits next year.
Well, there's things that you see in a site visit and questions you can ask and energy you can pick up on. And I know when we did that first year with the Early Learning Coalition, our project was a steam mobile, a traveling, like little self-contained bus that had STEAM activities or STEM, including art, for kids to go to the pre-K centers. And so the site visit we had was at one of the pre-K centers, and we were blessed to be able to have some children demonstrate a science project that they were working on. And these were 4-year-old kids with their little goggles on and doing the project. And there's just no way it would have been as effective in a video as it was seeing them in person and being able to experience that. That the kids so enjoyed having an audience too. So, and I understand during COVID, everybody had to make changes and step back and pivot. But I'm so glad to hear that you're going to go back to doing site visits like that.
We're hoping to. In fact, I do remember that site visit. I remember going to that, and it's seeing, as I said, seeing not just the location, but seeing the clients working and seeing what they're actually going to do really makes a big difference.
The other thing that's interesting with Impact 100 is that the scope of need is so great in St. Lucie County. And so what the women of Impact 100 needed to do was they were comparing organizations that were feeding the hungry, housing the homeless, offering mental health services, offering STEM exercises to pre-K. There was so much of a variety that it had to be overwhelming for the women who were part of it.
It was, and it's interesting because that first year, and I hope you're not going to ask me to tell you what they were, but that first year we did have categories that we wanted people to apply for, whether it was in education, mental health. I can't remember.
Yeah,
there
I
were
remember
3 or
there
4
were
categories,
basic categories,
which were supposed to try and help us hone in. It did to a certain extent. We did the same thing last year. This year, because there was such tremendous need because of COVID, we just gave the nonprofits kind of a carte blanche and said, just apply for what you need. What happened last year, because this was our 3rd year in existence, our 2nd year, we were in the process of choosing our finalists when COVID struck. And we had our semifinalists. There were 7. We had our semifinalists, and COVID struck, and a number of the nonprofits were saying, until we know what's happening here, we're not going to be able, even if you give us the money, we're not going to be able to use it right away because we have such tremendous need, so much greater than it was.
And different than it was.
And different. So what we did was we, by a vote of the membership, we joined a consortium. I think there were 6 or 7 agencies, and it was all St. Lucie County. And the nonprofits would submit applications. I need this for mental health, for telehealth, for whatever. And so we had 116 members last year. We had $116,000, and we divided that into smaller grants to help some of these more needier nonprofits.
The immediate need type
right.
things, not the down the road.
Right.
And I remember hearing about you doing it and wondered how that worked out. Did that work out well for
I think
both
it did.
the organization and the groups?
I think it did. I have to admit there were a few people in our membership who were not happy we did that. They wanted us to continue forward, but the majority said, yes, let's do that. When we had our award breakfast in October, instead of having a keynote speaker, we had a keynote video. And the Community Foundation got together with the heads of some of the organizations that we helped during the COVID response, and they spoke on the video. And I have a couple of examples. Boys and Girls Club, Will Armstead said, we were able to keep our programs going, keep our kids safe and busy. Hands Clinic said that we provided some telemedicine services, computers. Lisa said the computers were so old that they would cut out, that they wouldn't support the telehealth platform. And she said because of the funds that were donated, they were able to upgrade and do it, needed
And that's
to be
Lisa
done.
Hatch, right?
Lisa Hatch.
Yep.
Healthy Star Coalition Lisa Von Seelen talked about the Nurse Family Partnership Program. And if anyone is interested, you can go to our website and see the video.
You read my mind. I was just going to ask
yes,
you. If
this particular segment from the Healthy Star Coalition is just so beautiful. When you see the mothers and the parents and the children, they showed their first graduation ceremony from the partnership, and it is beautiful.
So tell me, before we go on with
Yes.
more of the description, to find this video, we have to go to your website and describe how we get there.
Okay, our website is www.impact100sl.org. That's SL for St. Lucie. .org. And that will take you, and I believe when the first page comes up, there's a video, a link, and says click here to see.
So it's right there.
It's right there. You don't even have to scroll down.
Yeah.
At least I didn't scroll down.
It's on your main screen. So as much as we appreciate Janet telling us about it, and if there was a way that we could have combined playing parts of the video with but since we tape this show, it's difficult to do it where you would be able to get the most out of it. And so I'm so excited that people can hear what that video is about. Janet will describe it for you, and then you can go to their website and see the whole thing.
And it's not that long. I think it's maybe 12 or 13 minutes, but we had 9 different organizations talk about the money they got from Impact 100 and how that helped them get their clients through the crisis. And Tykes and Teens is one of the ones on that video. Eric Garza, the CEO, spoke at the end of that video. I'm very proud of the fact that in 3 years of existence, we have given out over $307,000 to nonprofits in St. Lucie County. It is really remarkable. When you look at Indian River and you look at Martin County, they do have more members than we do. I think Martin County gave out 2 awards this year. I think Indian River may have given out 3 or 4.
But both organizations have been around for quite a while.
They've been around for quite a while, and they also have very different demographic than St. Lucie County, and also their needs are very different from St. Lucie County. So we had, this past year, we had 70 members, so we gave out a $70,000 grant. I really am hoping to get us back up to 100 members by the end of June this year. I've been going out speaking to groups. I've been attending fairs. I've been attending breakfasts. My greatest job right now in my mind is to get our name familiarized with people in St. Lucie County. I was at a fair about a month ago at the Mid-Florida Event Center in Port St. Lucie. And when I set up my table, I have a little sign that says, "Ask me about Impact 100 St. Lucie." And I had several people. I'd say I didn't count. My estimate was between 75 and 90 people come up and say, "Oh, what is that?" And I'd say, "Have you heard of us?" I had 4 people who said yes. So I really want people to get familiar with Impact 100 St. Lucie, what we do, what we are trying to do, and encourage people to follow us and perhaps become interested enough to join.
Well, while you're talking about that kind of a call to action to the women of St. Lucie County, let's talk a little bit about the different ways that someone can join, because initially that first year when I was asked to be a part of it, I was like, I don't know that I could come up with that type of money on our own, because we give to the United Way, and we pay our taxes that go to Children's Services Council, and then we pay as a family we contribute to the boards that we're on. But I so wanted to be a part of the idea of these women coming together and getting to have nonprofit organizations in St. Lucie County and make a difference, be that that makes a difference, that turns things from just something that you imagine could happen to something that could really happen. And so as somebody who was hosting a Sailfish Beer Mile, a little specialty race, I realized that I could earmark some of the funds for Impact 100 from the fundraiser that I was doing, and have that be my $1,100. But also I know some other women who went to their companies and said, "Would you sponsor me?" Or a vendor that their company used and said, "Would you sponsor me to be a part of this organization?" And they did it that way. There were also some grandmothers and mothers who gifted a membership to their children or grandchildren so they could be a part of it. So the variety of ages wasn't just, a bunch of retirees who could do this, but you had some 20-something and 30-something women in the mix who were able to, because what they see, what their vision is so completely different. Right, Courtney?
Yes, absolutely.
So let's talk again to Courtney, because you've now been through the process 2 different times, and each time it was a little bit different. What about this next year? How is it going to be different?
So this coming year, we're part of the Impact model is that we are ineligible to fully apply. We were really grateful that in 2020 they opened it up to us. Impact St. Lucie opened it up to Tykes to apply. We are ineligible for the full $100,000 grant until, I believe, 2023.
So it's a 3-year cycle.
Yes.
When you receive the full grant.
Yes, okay. Correct. Which is a great piece to have on there, so that although I would love to take $100,000 every year, it opens it up to other projects and to other organizations to really build, because like you said, it's so many different, you're comparing apples to oranges when you have that many organizations applying. So to have that clause in place, like I said, I would take the $100,000, but you can open up to different causes and really expand the impact that you're having.
And also your clients frequently need those other services too.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So it benefits everybody to have other organizations win from it. But we're coming back in 2023 and we'll be fighting for our title again.
We'll be looking for you. We had set that up in the beginning just for that reason, because we wanted a number of different organizations to have the opportunity to use the funds. So there is a 3-year. Now, that's only for the large grant. For those agencies that received the smaller grants last year and for the agencies that receive the two
The
small
runner-up
grants.
grants, yeah.
The first year, that doesn't apply to them. They can apply every year.
You also can apply for different counties Impact 100.
Yes,
too.
yes, we are currently brainstorming our Martin County
Yes.
Right.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So we're already thinking about what we're going to do in St. Lucie, or what we're going to propose to do in St. Lucie in 2023 that could complement if we get or are lucky enough to be awarded one of the ones in the surrounding counties.
Yeah.
I think it's really awesome that we have 3 here on the Treasure Coast, because you said that there's only 50 nationwide. So for
nationwide.
3 of them to be within 100
I
miles
was
of each other.
Thinking that too.
Yes.
What a giving land organization area that
Yes.
we are here in, and I think it's contagious because the people, the ladies of St. Lucie County saw what the ladies of Martin County were doing, and wanted to create that type of funding opportunity on their own. So
It's quite amazing. I don't know. I know there are a number of chapters in Florida. We are amazed by the one in Pensacola, which at last count was giving out, I believe, 11 $100,000 grants.
oh my gosh.
We cannot even fathom that.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's what we're saying too.
So if you're one of those people who is listening to this radio show and not seeing the visual that goes with it, Courtney's eyes just basically popped, right?
One is empowering
Yeah,
enough to
yeah.
have
I know.
11.
I
But
know.
I think it, like you said, it's contagious. So as more people, if everybody that is listening to this goes and tells one person about Impact, or 10 people, people are going to want to get involved in it, because it increases the impact that you can have. $1,000 is helpful to an organization, but it doesn't change what they can do.
Right.
It doesn't open an outpatient office in St.
Right.
Lucie County West. It allows you to continue operating, but doesn't make that change. So I believe that you'll be at the 100, if not more than that, by the time June comes around. I'll certainly tell 12 friends.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Is the grant period open now for grants to apply?
No, the application process doesn't start until after the membership
Okay.
part closes,
So
which will
that's
be June
going to be at the beginning of July. So still,
July.
it hasn't passed yet. So people can be looking at and getting ideas if you're an organization, or if you work with an organization and you want some ideas.
Absolutely, absolutely. One thing I wanted to say too is you were talking before, Sue Ellen, about different ways people have come up with the $1,100, and it is a lot of money. We all know that, and the St. Lucie chapter is not made up of wealthy women. They are women who want to make a difference in the community. They have different ways of doing it. Some of them just set aside $100 a month. Some of them have gone. We have a number of them who have gone to their employers, and their employers have either subsidized the entire amount, or part, maybe 50%, and the woman put in 50% herself. We've toyed with it, which is against the model of allowing small groups of women to
I was
sign
wall
up.
about that.
It's very much
Yeah.
against the model, and it also, we have been advised by chapters and even by our community foundation to really think hard before we even consider it, because there are a lot of I don't know if you want to call them loopholes, but a
that
lot
would be
of challenges.
tough to do, because if
Yes.
you had a group of women coming together for that $1,100, then who's the one who gets to make the vote?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we've stuck with the model. We've stuck with the one vote, one woman model. But I do, as I said at the beginning, my challenge this year is just to get our name out there and become better known. So I would ask all of your listeners that even if you don't think this is for you, if you just talk about it to your friends and say, listen, I just heard this interesting program on the radio the other day about Impact 100 St. Lucie, you might be interested. You know, you might want to look into it and give them, as I said, our website. Let them look on the website. At the bottom is the list of all the officers. And my name is there with, I believe, my email address and my phone number. So tell them to call, tell them to email me. I'm more than happy to talk about this with anyone who wants more information. I don't believe in pressure, high pressure. They won't get that, but they will get information. So I do ask that you consider it. As I said, I know it's not for everybody. When I took over as president, one of the things I did was I called everyone on the list who had not renewed to see if they would talk to me and tell me why they hadn't renewed. And there were quite a few. I'd say there were about 25 people who said that it was financial, which did not surprise me. But there were others who were not, didn't really like the democratic process, I guess you would say. They were upset because the nonprofit they voted for had not won. You know, you have to go into this realizing that you may have a favorite, but it may not be the one that gets your money. When Debbie Butler contacted me and asked me to become part of this, I said to her, I really was hesitant. I said to her, you know, I have limited funds for charitable giving. I have my favorite charities, and I like knowing where my money is going. And I said, I'll think about it. So I thought about it for a while. My husband, who did not know I was even thinking or considering this, said to me one night, and I don't remember what the conversation was, but it led to his saying to me, you know, instead of giving your small little amounts to different charities, why don't you just give a large amount to someplace where it can make a difference? And I said, thank you so much. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Kind of made it a little bit clearer coming from.
So I said to Debbie, I will do it for 1 year and see where it goes. And I am fully invested in this program. I'm very passionate about it. And I want it to succeed and I want it to grow so that we can help more and more people in St. Lucie County.
Well, again, as a nonprofit who applied that first year, made it to the semifinals, but so we did get to present. But beyond the opportunity to apply for a life-changing $100,000 grant was the opportunity to share information about the Early Learning Coalition to all of these women who on their own, you know, some of them, as you pointed out, you know, it may be a struggle to come up with this $1,100, and they're not doing a whole lot of other charitable giving, but there are plenty of others who have really prioritized charitable giving in their life. They're at a stage in their life where they're interested in finding out more about the organizations. And this is just a great way, whether you're a grant writer for an organization applying, or if you are a Impact 100 or considering Impact 100, to find out about the organizations that are in need in this area.
Well, I do want to mention the Community Foundation of Martin St. Lucie. They are our fiscal agent, and they are so much more. We could not do what we do without them. All of the members of the executive committee of Impact 100 St. Lucie are volunteers with varying degrees of expertise in varying different areas. The Community Foundation, not only do they handle all the finances for us and the accounts, but they are our contact with the nonprofits. They are the ones who reach out to the nonprofits and say, you know, it's time to apply. If you want, here's the information. They do all of the organizing of the applications. They run our grant review meetings.
They answer all the questions.
They answer all the questions. They are a godsend. And so we are really happy to be partners with them. One of the things, as I said, I contacted a lot of people, one of the things that a few people said to me was that, well, they like the idea of giving of the grants, but they felt they were more the volunteer type and not just the giving money type.
So they wanted to be completely invested.
Yes.
As far as their time as well.
So what I did this year, we started in September something that we are calling Give Back Saturdays. And on the second Saturday of each month, we get a group of women together and we volunteer at a nonprofit to help them sometimes with their regular duties and sometimes with a special project that they're doing. And it's been great for us because I feel we're getting, we've only done it 3 times so far. The last one, unfortunately, was canceled. But we're getting personal knowledge of the nonprofits around. The first one we did in September was the Multicultural Resource Center in Fort Pierce, which I had never heard of. It's a small organization. They provide after-school care for kids. They have a computer program, a music program, homework help. They just do an amazing, amazing job. And I was so thrilled to get to know them, to get to know Marcus Dixon, who runs it.
And he actually came up through the ranks at Boys and Girls Club. He used to be an area director for a clubhouse director for Boys and Girls Club. So he has loads of experience with the children who need enrichment activities.
Absolutely, absolutely. We worked at the Treasure Coast Food Bank packing Thanksgiving boxes. We worked at the Safe Space, Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, at the registration table. This past month, we were supposed to be working last Saturday for the Salvation Army packing children's gift bags for Christmas. And I got a call Friday night that the gift bags hadn't been delivered, so we had nothing to pack the gifts in.
Oh no!
So that was
So that wouldn't work.
that was scrubbed. But we're trying to get out there in the community as well.
Janet, we just have a few minutes left, and I'd really like to give Courtney a little bit more of an opportunity to talk about the St. Lucie County programs. So if you're listening to this and you want more information about what Tykes and Teens offers in St. Lucie County, first of all, I would love for you to come back maybe in January and maybe bring somebody with the program department
Sure.
with you to talk more about it. But why don't you give us just a overview of the services you provide here?
Absolutely. So we opened the outpatient office, like I said, with the Impact Grant, and we have expanded that to include infant mental health, our mental health consultation program. We do our trauma-informed care training in St. Lucie now. We offer our psychiatric services via telehealth, our targeted case management, and we have after-school programs through places like the Boys and Girls Club here now as well. So to learn more about those, you can go to tykesandteens.org. You can call our office at 772-220-3439, or you can email us at givehelp@tykesandteens.org to talk to me about helping the programs, or get help at tykesandteens.org to learn more about actually receiving those services and how you go about doing that.
And of course, all the services are for kids, but as such, they affect the entire family.
Correct.
And beyond affecting the whole family, as somebody who taught in the public school system, I can tell you that also probably if a child who needs assistance is getting it, it probably affects their whole classroom as well.
You're absolutely right. And that's where our mental health consultation program has really expanded, where we're in the daycare centers and the preschools teaching the caregivers in those facilities how to interact with kiddos that are having problems. Mm-hmm. And they're not a problem child. They've had trauma, and they have trauma in their life that has caused them to act this way. So how do we deal with it together? And we look at it, like you said, the family approach. We look at the whole family and talk to the parents and talk to their teachers and really help, because you can pull a kiddo out and talk to them in therapy about what's going on and help them. But if you plop them right back into the same scenario, you're never going to make the change. So you have to look at it as a whole.
And especially with you being able to reach them at an earlier age.
Exactly.
Too, the importance of that, so the issue doesn't continue to simmer and become a problem where once they get to the point where the other classmates are identifying them as the reason that there's disruption in the classroom, then it's hard to come back from that.
You're right. Yes.
So, that's awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to join us again. So Courtney is the development officer with Tykes and Teens, and she's been talking about the initial award that her organization received from Impact 100 St. Lucie, which allowed them to open a physical St. Lucie County office. And, you know, if you build it, they will come. And, you know, there's a lot of St. Lucie County families that are benefiting from it. Janet Mafucci is the president of Impact 100 and St. Lucie, and this is an organization that you can either put on your calendar to get information from to apply for a grant later on this summer, next summer, I guess 2022, right? Or you can find out about joining the organization and being one of the more than 100 women who are part of the organization who are giving back in a concerted effort.
Yeah. And again, you can check our website out, or if you don't remember the website, you just Google Impact 100 St. Lucie, and it'll take you there.
Awesome. Well, Janet and Courtney, thank you both for being my guests today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And thank you for listening. We'll see you back next week with more.
The Sue Ellen Sanders Show has archives on YouTube. Go to WPSLTV.com. Binge watch you some Sue Ellen Sanders shows on YouTube. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast on Google Home, Alexa, and the TuneIn app on your smartphone.